and went off to college.
Well, I guess like I was prepared for college also because I grew up in Colorado,
Right.
and it was only 4 blacks in the whole school,
Oh.
and that was me and myself and my brothers and another girl, young girl named Yvonne.
Wow.
And then she left; her parents left, so it was only 3 of us for the rest of the year.
And that was all your
And
family.
that was me and my family.
Yes.
My teachers they pushed me. They expected me to do more.
Okay.
They told me because you always had to dig deeper than just the surface.
Okay.
So I feel that they pretty much set me up for success. And then the more that you achieve, the more that you want to achieve.
Exactly.
So I was
Good.
really prepared when I went.
Okay, and share it with us the year that we're talking
I
about.
was talking in 80, when I was in, how was I in 8th and 9th grade? I guess 80.
So in the 80s.
Yeah, like
so
80,
we're comparing
79.
79, 80. Okay, so we're comparing the 8, and you graduated from high school what year?
In 81.
In 81.
Yes.
So we're comparing the 60s to the 80s. So we can see then there was a little bit of transition there because I have some real good stories
Well, the
from
only
Tyler
one
Junior
that I really remember that really pushed me most of all is because I was running an errand from the attendance office, and I dropped my cards right in front of the teacher's faculty room, and I heard my favorite teacher, Mrs. Burnett, say it to one of her coworkers, if you don't want a black person to know something, put it in a book.
Yes.
And so she looked, when she opened the door, I was
There
down
you
on
were.
the floor picking up the attendance cards, and I heard her. And then my father asked me later on, what did I think that meant? And I said, they don't read. And so from that point on,
You became
I
a real
became an
avid reader.
So,
Have we heard that before, Dr. Gates, Dr. Johnson?
Yes, I have, but I think the most remarkable story was in your clinical rotations in nursing. You have to do public health, or we
Right.
did in that
Yes,
day.
yes, we
and
still
you got in a lottery, what we would call today a lottery. So I'm sitting in the dining room at Parkland with my 2 best friends, 2 Jewish girls, and this medical student walks up. He knows one of them and says, what did you get for your public health rotation? And I wonder why he was just looking at me the whole time.
Okay.
And so she said, I pulled West Dallas. She was excited about it. And I got it. He said, oh, you're going to N Town.
Oh,
And
okay.
she jumped up. I created the biggest disturbance. So we had to get her out of the dining room.
Okay.
She was gonna
she was
destroy
pretty irate.
him. But I mean, it was that kind of, it was the medical students.
Okay.
But so it was experiences that I had to just simply ignore and not
Right.
get distracted.
That's
by.
right, because your ultimate purpose was to be
And
there
yeah,
to
you
get
always
your
have to stay
education.
focused.
Yeah, have
That
to stay
focus,
focused.
yeah.
Well, Dr. Johnson, back in September, we had our all-black school reunion at Texas Women's University, and it was awesome, and I know you agree. And it was headed by Dr. Diane Randolph, which was our accomplished Broadway opera singer who just touched the fabric of our souls when she sang to us with that golden voice. And also, as you know, we had the Alvin Ailey dancer from the Dallas Black Dance Theater, and then we had educators, and we had so many PhDs there from every direction. We had criminologists and political scientists and just all kinds of trendsetters. You name it, those black ladies that were there were powerful. And even our president, Dr. Ann Stewart, and the faculty was 100% in support of this historical weekend where we planted our tree and so forth. So overall, what was your feelings and experience as you returned back to TWU during that recent reunion and in correlation to what you were feeling when you were there on campus as a student?
I was overwhelmed because in 1991, a woman was trying to write a history of women at Texas Women's and contacted me, and she said, I'm just not I cannot get any statistics on you. And so I told her about me, and she wrote an article. But through the years, TWU has never acknowledged women of color graduates.
Yes.
So, and Diane called me on a morning when I never had my home phone hooked up.
Okay.
And that morning, I hooked it up to activate my American Express card, and the phone rang.
Sure.
And she said, I'm looking for Lizzie. And I said, what? I couldn't believe it. So it was a divine experience for me.
Yes.
Why she she said, I never call anybody in the morning, so why she would call me and I would answer that phone that's
Right.
never hooked up.
Right.
I pay honor to Alcina Dowell, the first black woman that entered, but she didn't stay.
Right.
And then she died at an early age.
Yes. Yes.
Brittany Martin, this young doctoral student who is in history getting her PhD, which gives credibility to her research.
Yes.
And then to Diane. But it was something I never I'd given up on CW.
Is that right?
For her to come back there and make that her mission and
That's
to
right.
find me as she did that morning, to me it's divine.
It is.
I don't know. I'm still talking to myself.
That's God's
Well,
work.
yes, God's work. That's right. And we salute Diane Randolph for that reunion together, along with the rest of her team. And I tell you what, Dr. Johnson, I won't give up until we have a wall there that we can have the African American students on that wall to go along with that tree that we planted there that weekend.
And Diane is also going to put a plaque with the
Right.
names of Miss Alcinia and everybody on that tree. I think that would be wonderful. I mean, I don't seek recognition for anything, but it did make me through the years feel funny about it, that they just wouldn't seem to. But to be charitable, I think it's their database. I mean, I think they just didn't have a database to capture the critical fields that would make us stand out. I'll be charitable and say that.
Okay. Well, there is a scripture in the Bible that says, give honor where honor is due. So the honor is due. So we want to make sure that you receive that honor. Now, overall, considering that the era that we have been talking about and the things that were going on outside of the classroom, such as demonstrations and all that stuff, were you ever made to feel uncomfortable in class by assumptions or, assuming that, you as a black student were not smart or any comments about race? This is a final question to you on this. Did you see that?
I did, and one of the most outstanding things was we went in nutrition class. We went to the grocery store.
Okay.
We all rode there in the same car, and I kept going up to my fellow students, and everybody scattered when we got in the grocery store, and I kept going up and said, look at these, and but I'm a person who is slow to make up for, I wasn't looking for discrimination.
Sure.
So it was a month later that I figured out why everybody would say, but fly away from me. And so, but
so in
as
other
far
words,
as in class, though, when I got to the clinical setting, there was another black young lady there who dropped out, and I thought, oh, my God. So we had a bedroom, a bath, adjourning, and another bedroom. So they didn't put another student in there with me, so I turned that extra bedroom into a nightclub, in a music room, and studied. So it wasn't about putting me on the spot in class. I was holding court in that extra room and guiding the study.
So you had your own little suite, huh?
Yes, you did.
I wish I could have had that when I was going.
I was the top student, so
I don't blame you. You had all that
space. They'd have to get back to try to put me down. But I didn't have that. It was just that one uncomfortable situation and the one about the West Dallas.
Sure.
But other than that, but I just want to quickly say, the black people at Parkland, it just almost makes me tear up when I find out this year at my 50-year high school reunion that one of the ladies went on to become an LP and was at Parkland. I did not know that the black people ate over behind the dishwasher.
Yes,
and when I came, I didn't know any different. I just went and sat down. And then administration sent out a memo that everybody was. And then the black people would find me on the unit and drag me in a utility room and say, how's it going? And I didn't complain, but when I would, they would hear me completely out and then say, do you feel better? I would say, yes, and they say, get back in the game. I had supporters that I didn't even know the grace of God was with me, really, other than my being such a fierce, focused student.
Right. That and that's why you were so successful, because you had a goal, you had your objectives in front of you, and nothing could stop you. Dr. Gates, you have some final comments for Dr. Johnson?
Well, again, it's just like when you know who you are and where you're going, it's kind of impossible for somebody else
To
to
stop
deter
that.
you from your position.
That's right. That's right.
That's very
Yeah.
it's
I'm so
impossible for that to occur.
exactly, and I'm so proud of her. And as I said, she paved the way for me to come to Texas Women's University, where things were a little bit better when we got there. So, Dr. Johnson, we so appreciate that. We so appreciate you being on the show, and want you to stick around. We have a political segment of this show, and we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in our nation and the world. And as we know, Dr. Gates, we heard this morning that Muammar Gaddafi has been killed, and there still is a lot of unrest in the world and our nation. So our recent movement now is Occupy Wall Street. And it is said that Occupy Wall Street is a leaderless, resistant movement with people of all genders, colors, political persuasions. So even now we're talking about the 1%, which is Wall Street. Now, on this past Saturday, even in Tyler, Texas, we had about 70 protesters in front of our Wall Street investors' office, and it will continue again next Saturday. So tell us, Dr. Gates, what is Occupy Wall Street, and who are these people? We've already said they're all persuasions, but what is the real purpose of Occupy Wall Street?
Well, for the most part, a lot of times people just jump on the bandwagon and start following because they hear something that sounds good,
Okay.
not knowing exactly what's going on or what it's all about. They don't know the foundation.
Okay.
And this Occupy Wall Street actually is from a foreign group. You got foreigners interjecting their socialistic position into America.
Okay.
That Adbusters Media Foundation, they are anti-capitalist. They oppose to capitalism, and they're from Canada. And when you begin to figure out who's supporting these people, you have China, you have Russia, you have North Korea, the Ayatollah of Iran, you have Venezuela. So when you begin to see who's supporting these people to occupy Wall Street, they are all most of them are from socialistic positions, and these people that are at the head are socialists.
Okay.
They are socialists. They are the socialist elite.
Okay. Well, now, Dr. Gates and Dr. Johnson, if you want to jump in, and Vicki, I'm going to go to you in a second. But we know that we had the stimulus package, and we bailed out the Wall Street, the banking industry, the automobile industry, because we were told they were too big to fail. So now we hear that Americans are the 99%, and they feel that they're too big to fail because Wall Street is the 1%. So what should we do about this? Vicki, you have any comments on that, real fast, because we're going to run out of time.
Basically, I've never been on the Wall Street category, so I've been on the God Street and the Main Street.
I like that.
So
okay, I like
my
that.
comment is to stick with God.
Okay, very good. Go ahead, Dr. Johnson.
Yeah, my take is that, and I really appreciate what he's saying about the source of it.
Right.
My take is that, first of all, power is never given. It has to be taken.
Okay.
And our politicians have got to wake up and realize that we're letting some very valuable things slip away in this country, mainly the middle class.
Okay.
I live in a state where 10% of our state workers are on food stamps.
Yes, ma'am. I got you.
And, the bureaucracy has no ability to self-reflect. It has to be forced from outside. So
thank you so much, Dr. Johnson.
I think that we have to, these kinds of movements have always started leaderless.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Johnson, Dr. Gates. And we're going to have to bring you back, Dr. Johnson, because you got some words to say here. Dr. Gates, I'm sorry you can get a final comment in there, but we're going to have to continue this Occupy Wall Street on next week, and maybe we can bring Dr. Johnson back. Thank you so much. You've been listening to A View from the Top with your host, Dr. Shirley McKellar. Thank you so much for listening to us, and thank you so much, Dr. Johnson, for being with us today. Have a great afternoon and a great weekend.